So a while ago I made this little video about how to add GIFs into the Unreal Engine user interfaces, and I would really like to do an update on that video because nowadays I would just do it differently myself. So here we are. So in my opinion, this new method I like and prefer is a lot quicker and a lot easier to do than the previous method I showed. So I hope you find that as well, and we'll jump right into it. I've prepared some images, so just 4 images that will create this GIF that I want. So it's just 4 textures of a GIF. If you want to know how to do that, you can use this website called Easy GIF. I will put it in the description below. And you're going to go ahead and create a user interface. So right click in your content browser, go to user interface and then widget blueprint. Use a widget and we'll call it W_GIF in this case. And double click to open. And I'm going to make it or create this widget in my controller. So you have to find your player controller. For me, it's in the player character. And it's just a basic third-person player controller template for me. So open that up. And on your event start, you go ahead and drag from the execution pin and do create widget, like so. And you're going to find that GIF user interface that you made. Fill it into the class, and from the return value you can drag off and do add to viewport, so it will add it to the player screen in this case. You don't have to do it, you can also add this whole UI to a menu or whatever you like, but this is just for me to show you this user interface we'll make on the screen. And I'm going to drag in a canvas panel here in the user interface and then add a image. So under common you will find the image there. Drag it into your canvas panel. I'm gonna make it nice and big like so, and then position it a little more over here. And I'm gonna go ahead and rename it to image_GIF, like so. And you have to make sure that it's checked to be a variable up in the right corner here. Can be unchecked, but usually images are already checked as a variable. Just check for yourself. If you go to your graph, so you're in the designer, and you can go to your graph up here. You can get rid of the pre-construct and the tick. We'll just use the event construct. And on the left-hand side at the variables, we will create a new one, and we'll call this images. Of the type texture 2D, like so. Object reference. And on the right hand side you can change this from a single to an array. Go ahead, compile and save. And then in the default values on the right hand side you can add your images. So I'm gonna go ahead and click 4 times because I have 4 images. And you add them here. So fire 1, fire 2 for me, but this is your own images of course. So, and there's more ways to do this, but I think this works fine for now. So I've got these 4 images in my array, and I will drag out my images variable and do length, like so. Looks like this. And from here I want to promote this to a variable and call it images L or images length, whatever you want. Execution pin into here. And then from this execution pin we're going to drag out and look for set timer by event, like so. And it depends on how fast you want to have your images loop, but I'm going to choose 0.2 for now. And click looping here, so the checkbox. And from this little red square you can drag out and do custom event, add custom event, and I will call this set images, like so. And this is just any normal event that you create, but it's connected to this timer. So you can pause it and it will stop doing this event. From here, we're going to drag out that image variable you made in the designer, your image GIF, and do set brush from texture, like so. And we're going to get the images array, drag out and type get. You see get a copy. Like so, and this output goes into the texture here. And this integer is just a counter that we're going to promote to a variable. And I'm gonna call it counter as well. Like so. And then what you want to do is compare the counter to the length of your images array. So you drag out both your counter and your images length. And then get an equal. So type is, and it says equal. And you can compare the two. If you drag out from this one and type B, it will give you a branch. Execution pin in there. And from the true path, you're going to want to set this counter to 0. So drag out your counter and set it, like so. And set it to 0. And then the execution pin can go in there. And from the files, the execution pin can go straight into here. Like so. And then the only thing we need to do still is make the counter go up after we've set the image, of course. So you can drag out your counter variable again and do a ++, which means increment. And an increment is only adding 1 and setting the variable immediately. So it would be the same as do a add, like so. Say 1, and then setting the counter again, like so. This increment is the same as these two steps. You can see that? So that's why I use the increment. It just adds 1 to your variable. So that's all. Go over again. Event construct, images array, the length, promote the length, set a timer by event. You compare your image's length to the counter. On the true, you need to set the counter to 0. And you do a get on your images array. And you set the brush for your image and increment the counter. That should be it. See? There you go. And if you like, I can add a little extra so that in case you don't just want to have it shown or play all the time, you can also let it play on a hover, for example. So in the designer, if you go back, I will right click on the image we created and do a wrap with overlay. And then in the same overlay, I will add a button, this one, drag it in and put it in the overlay, yes. And make sure it's under your image. So in order, it goes image and then the button. And I will call this BTN for button and then hover. And make sure the button is stretched all the way, like so. And then I like to set the background color to alpha 0. So alpha 0. And then it showed only the image underneath. Right now you can see that my image isn't filled to the overlay, so I will stretch that too. Like so. And then in the graph, you can click on this new button we made. And on the right hand side, you will have these new events. On clicked, for example, but I will use on hovered. Like so. And I will click the button again and also get the on unhovered, like so. And then up here, on your set timer by event, you're going to drag out from the return value and do promote to variable. And I call this GIF timer, like so. And all you want to do now, one more thing here, drag out from that variable and do pause timer by handle. So basically you create the timer, promote it to your variable, and immediately also pause the timer so it doesn't play. And then on your hovered button, so on hovered, you're going to drag out that timer and do unpause timer by handle. And down here, drag out again from the timer and do pause timer by handle on the unhovered, like so. And this will give you a neat little extra compile and save. So now it doesn't play immediately, but when we hover, you see, it goes. And then when we unhover, it stops the GIF. So I hope you liked it. I hope you think it's better than my old video. Let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this tutorial, also don't forget to like and subscribe. Or let me know if you need any other kind of tutorial in my Discord or in the comments.